to the Digital Cow Network. I'm your host, Heather Flanagan, and in today's explainer, we're going to look at some of the challenges of balancing privacy with the desire for personalization. Now, this is important because standards and regulations under development today are trying to do this too, and sneak preview, asking for user consent is not particularly helpful. Okay, moving on. When we surf the web, we want to see more of what's of interest to us as individuals, and we also want to know that our privacy is being protected. I mean, that's great, but let's look at that as a dichotomy. On the one hand, we want privacy, and on the other hand, we want things to know enough about us in order to make what we're viewing relevant. So how much are we actually willing to share for a tailored online experience, and how much is our businesses willing to do to get that information, personalize it for you, but stay on the correct side of the law? So personalization is everywhere, from social media feeds to shopping experiences. Millennials and Gen Z in particular expect a level of personalization that the older generations aren't quite used to. But have you ever wondered how it actually works? Websites and apps collect data about our preferences, our activities, even our physical location. And they do that to create a more custom experience for us. And sometimes it's all they're collecting is just to optimize for what browser you're using, whether you're using Chrome or Firefox or Safari, but other times it's a lot more invasive. So let's break down this data journey. It starts with what you click, what you search, how long you linger on a page, and all this data forms a digital profile, which then guides the content that you see. Now we're going to talk about how this turns into advertisements that are actually relevant to you. It's the magic of real-time bidding. So real-time bidding only works because the internet, for most people these days, is blindingly fast. Way better than old-school dial-up. Real-time bidding works something like this. You visit a website, of course. The website has a space on it for an advertisement. Okay? That space includes a little piece of code that says, go to this ad exchange network and take information about this website and information about the user, either via the cookies in their browser or the browser fingerprint, and also anything you can get about their physical location, because their device probably knows where they are, and send all of it over to the ad exchange. Now, the ad exchange has a list of advertisers who have preloaded information about what they're willing to pay to promote their ad based on specific criteria about the website, the user, and even who the user is physically close to. The ad exchanger almost immediately figures out who wins the auction and returns the winning ad to be embedded in the website. All of this takes milliseconds. Think of it this way: real-time bidding. How can it possibly be that fast? If the internet is fast enough to stream movies and to collect information about you, where you are, what you're looking at, and even where you focus on your attention on the screen real time, then real-time bidding isn't that big a stretch. But now let's talk about how this is all causing that catch with privacy. The level of personalization to get that ad that's just right for you requires a lot of access to personal data. And that's where, of course, the privacy concerns come in. How do those companies ensure that our data is safe? How much control do we have over what they've actually collected? Well, thanks to laws and regulations like the European Union's General Data Protection Regulation, or even the California Consumer Privacy Information Act, individuals do have some ability to control this flow of information. For example, there are cookie banners, those dreaded cookie banners, on many websites that are supposed to let you decide what type of information you're willing to share. There are also things called authenticated IDs for when an individual has logged in and have provided consent to be tracked. Google's Privacy Sandbox has several mechanisms that they're testing out, like protected audience APIs and topics APIs, to help with what's considered more ethical advertising. But ultimately, accommodating privacy, personalization, and the legal requirements around both is a trade-off, both for advertisers and for individuals. Personalizations can make people's online life more convenient, more enjoyable, but the increase in regulatory pressure, though, means that every entity involved in serving up a website and its associated ads to an individual needs to be part of this process to determine, what's a privacy enhancing experience. Unfortunately, that has resulted in a barrage of, are you okay with us collecting data? How about now? What about here or over here? Is this okay? What about that? Is this okay now? It's a terrible user experience, and there's some pretty strong questions out there as to whether that's actually even viable in today's world. So what can we do? For individuals, it's about making informed choices, of course, understanding your privacy settings, and being patient with the barrage of consent requests rather than just clicking through them. Actually read what happens when you say, no, I want to know exactly what you're sharing. Now, for developers, the challenge is to respect the user's privacy before you even start going into all the consent banners while still providing value. Now, this is all still a very new space, which is why there's so much activity within the World Wide Web Consortium. They and, the browser vendors, which are a big part of that particular standards organization, are trying to find a path forward that satisfies the business requirements while keeping on the right side of privacy law. The best thing organizations that are in the business of benefiting from tracking need to do is to get involved in the standards process to test out the APIs under development and offer feedback on the APIs that the developers can maybe use. Now, looking ahead, the landscape in this space is constantly changing. There's new technologies, there's stricter privacy laws around the world, and there's changing user attitudes. All these things are reshaping the balance. Now, if you're listening and waiting for me to tell you the one true way for your business to thread this needle, I'm afraid you've still got some waiting around to do. The browser vendors are trying different things. At the same time, lawyers are trying to find different ways to interpret legal requirements and change them into technical requirements. Honestly, if this was easy, it would have been solved already, but the conversations are all still ongoing. So with that, thank you for joining me. Stay curious, stay informed, and if you've got questions, go to my AI clone, the Heatherbot, which is available on my website at sphericalcowconsulting.com. I've trained it with information on these topics so that you can just ask whatever questions you want in the privacy of your own browser settings. Thanks, subscribe, like, and I'll see you in our next episode.